So I was just reading over your consultation right now. You guys are out in South Barrington.
Yeah, it's my brother's dog. He's coming here right now,
Hey,
too.
how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good.
And you guys have was it a 9-month Rottie?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
he's right here. Do you want to see him?
Sure, let's take a look at the guy.
He's right. Bear, sit.
The big boy.
Yeah, sit.
Yeah, he's a good size.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
How much does he weigh?
He's about 80. Well, we're not exactly sure. We haven't weighed him in a little while. Probably like between 80 and 85.
Okay. How big are we expecting him to get?
About 120. 110, 120.
Yeah. His name it's Bear, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you had called here, and I think you had spoken to Maddie because Maddie had was it a woman that you spoke to over the phone?
Yeah,
Yeah, because she mentioned somebody from Barrington, so I'm assuming that was you guys.
probably.
And you're wanting in-home training.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve with Bear?
Here, just to get him better off leash.
Okay.
He listens to commands, but you kind of have to be really stern with him, like sometimes not many times before he like actually listens.
Sure.
In the house, he's pretty good, but still, like sometimes he's not great about come.
Mhm.
He doesn't jump that much. I mean, we have a toddler and then we have another newborn on the way, but like he's for the most part okay. It's mostly off leash and like he's not really on leash that often, especially out in the suburbs. But we're
Right.
moving back to the city next month, so we
Okay.
kind of like in a dog park setting and things like that. We need when we call him, we need him to come to us, not just like kind of pretend like he doesn't hear us.
Okay. Do you know where in the city you're moving to?
We're moving back to Lakeshore East, like to that neighborhood.
He been socialized?
As a puppy, yes, but like we've been out here for maybe 3.5 months. He
Okay.
hasn't really been around many dogs since then,
Or new people.
or new people, but he's pretty friendly.
Okay. Has he been in the city just for a visit anytime during these 3.5 months?
No.
No. So I'm assuming you got him at 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and then initially it was 2 months when you first got him. Was it? Were you in the city or were you still out in Barrington?
We're in Lincoln Park.
You're in Lincoln Park. Okay, so then that first chunk of his life he was in Lincoln Park. Then you move out to Barrington for the last 3.5 months, and then in a month you move back into the city.
Correct.
Okay. And during that time frame, were you able to socialize him at all when you were in Lincoln Park?
Yeah. I mean, when we go for walks and stuff, he always says hi to other dogs. He got attacked once through our fence, actually, by like a small, not like a medium-sized white yappy dog that like scratched him pretty bad on the nose. I don't know how that's going to affect him long term, but
I don't think it has.
Yeah.
At what age did that happen?
He was probably 4 months.
4 months? Okay. And after that happened, did you notice any change in his demeanor? Did he seem more kind of skittish? Did he seem more concerned with dogs?
The first few days,
for like 2 days. Yeah.
Okay.
He was wary of dogs outside of the fence for like 2 days, but then he was back to his like friendly self.
Okay. All right. Sounds like he recovered from it. So typically, like puppies tend to recover fairly quickly unless genetically they're more insecure or anxious, nervous type. Then they tend to be the ones that develop issues.
Yeah.
And typically, when there's like an incident like that where it becomes a problem, it's usually around 6 months or a year. Okay. So I think you're in the clear for that. The only thing I would say is because it has been 3.5 months of quiet life, is moving back into the city, there may be a change. We don't know. That's nothing that it's a guarantee. It's just kind of see what happens. Sounds like Bear seems like a pretty solid dog in terms of like being able to recover, like handle stress and recover and stuff like that. So I don't really foresee that happening, but doesn't mean that it can't. Okay. So he's both human and dog social, from what you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else about Bear that I should know?
No, not really.
No, he's really smart. He just is also stubborn. So I'd prefer not to have to like yell at him and scream at him for him to listen.
Sure.
He listens to me the most, but like he knows from early on he dominated her. He listens to my wife pretty well, but she watches him a lot during the day when I'm at work and stuff. So he walks all over her because she lets him. Well, she let him in the beginning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what, like, if you could have what you wanted with Bear, what would that life look like?
It wouldn't change. It's really just like so we're comfortable when we're outside. I think for the future is in the house to be safe with the kids, and then B, like when we're going outside, like say in a dog. So he's not pulling on leash, but he doesn't really pull that much when we do go for walks. But then like in dog park settings, like so he can kind of like get his energy out, but at the same time, be obedient and not just kind of go wild.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the house, just he's really good around the kids. Sometimes he just gets excited and forgets to be cautious, and hopefully that's something we can fix.
I'm sorry.
He steps on our feet all the time, and so he's just not like careful with how big he is.
Yeah, so dogs aren't self-aware like a human is.
Yeah.
So like if you see people laying down, like, like on the floor, like watching TV, you would step over them. Dogs just walk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what we could do is teach them to respect space and then, keep a distance of like the children and stuff. But some dogs have that component where they are kind of just self-aware. But most dogs don't. They just like my Pit. If I'm on the bed, she'll jump up on the bed and like lay right on top of me, like I'm not even there, and I have to like shove her off. So and then my Chihuahua does the same thing too. But my Chihuahua's 8 pounds versus 60 pounds.
Yeah, like he knows. So like there's a room that we have a playroom set up in, and he knows he's not supposed to be in it, but like sometimes he'll test you and like try to sneak in and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's different. That's a boundary thing.
Yeah, he'll sometimes like try to get food on the table. But yes, he tries to test you.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Gotcha. Okay, so essentially, like we have recall, right? Common called leash walking, or which pass they happen, either regardless. And like, do you see yourself like taking them with you? Like, let's say if you're in the city, come the springtime, you want to go to a restaurant or something like that, or is it just like we'd walk them, we'd go to a dog park, and we'd call them, and then pretty much
not like if he can sit there for an hour, like at a restaurant, that'd be great, because we're right on the river walk essentially. So yeah, that's something to consider. But right now, it's not top of mind, just because.
Yeah, top of mind is when I take him outside. Since we're in the suburbs, I originally took him outside without a leash, just so he could like go in the yard. But then he started running away from me. So that's the biggest thing that we'd like to fix.
Sure.
Like ideally, he would come when called off leash every time.
Sure. And with how we train, when we do recall, it has to be off leash reliable.
Right.
Like I stress that with everybody.
Alex, come here.
A lot of places they teach it, but they don't. It's kind of like, yeah, keep practicing it, and hopefully it works. It's like, no, it has to work. Okay, regardless of whatever program you do, like that has to be off leash reliable.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what?
That's my biggest concern. Here, this is my sister-in-law.
Hi, sorry,
Hey.
I'm listening from afar. The biggest thing for me is obviously with 2 kids that are going to take his toys away from him constantly, that don't understand his size, that may want to roughhouse with him. Just like I think he does an okay job. He's still a puppy, but maybe just being more gentle and just making sure that not that we've seen it, just making sure that no aggressive tendencies like come out of him.
All right, so you want to listen to this part, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's a very common thought process with dogs.
Uh-huh.
Is to give you an example, I had a German Shepherd that I worked with about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And they said he had bitten a few people, but he loved the kids. Never had any issues with them throughout those years that they had him. And the kids would always take stuff from him. They never had a problem. And then when I came in, I told them, you need to stop letting the kids do that, because one day he could just be like, you can't take this from me. And then like 9 to 10 classes into a 12-week program, I walk into the home and everybody was very solemn because the dog bit the kid in the face. Okay. So the reason why I say that is because think of aggression, okay, as getting angry. Okay. Can someone teach you to never become angry?
No.
Right. Right. So when it comes to dogs, people talk about aggression as if it's a characteristic. Your dog is either aggressive or not aggressive. Okay. It's like saying someone is either angry or not angry in the sense of like they're born with that characteristic. Everybody is capable of becoming angry. It's just whether or not those prerequisites are met to make us angry. Right. So in that case with the German Shepherd, I told the family from the get-go, I know you've not ever seen anything, but the best approach is always preventative approach. I was like, don't let the kids do that, so on and so forth. They ignored me. Then he bit a kid in the face. Okay. And he didn't bite him to be aggressive. He bit them to correct them. Don't take things away from me. You're just a puppy. Because that's how dogs correct their puppies. They bite them. Problem is, doesn't transfer well when it comes to human, dog to human, right? And we see it as inappropriate. But in his world, he's not being aggressive. He's saying, you've taken things from me 1,000 times in the last 3 years, and I'm tired of it. I'm going to stop it today. Okay. So what I would do there is actually teach your kids to respect the fact that you're going to have a 110, 20-pound dog. Okay. Because that's going to be a problem. Because you also want to think of it this way. Let's say Bear is perfectly kids taking things from him. Is your children will apply the way they treat your dog to other dogs.
Yeah.
And if they're used to taking things from Bear, no problem, and they go to a friend's house and they do that same thing. I've had kids be bitten by other people's dogs because they treated that dog.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would educate you on things on like what realistically things that you want to just avoid, because there's an expectation out there that people think like, oh, you teach the dog to be a good dog and never to be aggressive, and then it's a guarantee. And unfortunately, that's just not how it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Other questions?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yes, I'm good.
You guys have questions?
Oh yeah. So the other thing is he has this bed where I try to have him calm down, but he really only stays calm on there when I give him like a bone to chew on.
That's Teddy's.
So ideally, it would be great if he could also learn place and just be calm there for a while.
Yeah.
Teddy, look. Daddy's got the ball.
Again, like these are a lot of like wish list items. The biggest thing is off leash recall.
Yeah, that one I'm not. I mean, as long as you do your homework, I'm not too worried about it.
Okay.
Anything else? And who's going to be the primary trainers? Is it you and your brother, or?
Yeah, me and my brother. So I normally live in LA. I'm just here like during the pandemic. So I've been helping train him.
It would be most like I think I would be the best at doing it with him, but she needs to be a part of it because she's the one he doesn't listen to.
And I'm the one who spends the most time with him.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys do any research on me and how we train, the methods we use, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You're familiar, we use e-collar and prong collar and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, it's just e-collar. In your case, we would see how he does purely with the e-collar. And then if you need, we can incorporate the prong collar as well, okay? Because he's going to be a big dog.
Yeah.
So like right now I have another Rottie. He's 7 months old and he's training with me right now. And he was yanking the owner all over the place. So then we have him on both a prong and e-collar and he's doing just fine, okay? I have a Rottweiler Rottweiler now, which is a Bernese Mountain Dog Rottweiler mix, and he's just on e-collar because he's just fine with the e-collar. So it just kind of depends on how the dog.
He pulls less than our. He's my third Rottweiler. He pulls less than, I can't remember the first one how he was, but like he pulled less than the one we had before.
He pulls less than both of them. Yeah.
What do you walk him on? A harness right now, or just a?
Yeah, on a harness.
On harness, okay, because harnesses promote pulling. So once you start the training process, like I would just get rid of that, because harnesses can actually create problems over time. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when we do walk him. Usually he just runs around in our yard. So like we have, I don't know if you want to show him. So like the reason why we set it in home is like we have about 3.5 acres of land. So
but you want to think that in 1 month he's going to be in the city, right?
Yeah.
So then he's gonna. I mean, you have places where you can let him go off leash, but for the most part, he's gonna be back on a leash walking, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, all right. So your case is pretty straightforward, simple stuff, only obedience, pending no behavioral issues. He's intact, correct?
Yeah.
Are you leaving him intact, or are you gonna neuter him like at 3 years or something?
We're gonna neuter him, but we're waiting for him to get full size. So probably like at 1.5 years. Okay.
Just because I know a lot of people when they get power breeds, they don't neuter them, and then they end up dealing with a lot of frustration from like their inability to mate. So
we haven't neutered the prior 2 dogs. I mean, they're all show dog quality.
Yeah,
they're all
temperament wise. We're not expecting anything,
but we're not like gonna breed.
Okay, so you guys have a couple of choices here. You would fall between in like the 6, 9, and 12 week category. It just depends on how much control you want over bear. Okay, if it's just like, hey, we need these things, the shortest program would be the 6, which is 1 day a week, so a total of 6 classes. 2 classes would be to teach the heel command, which has to happen. Then we move into recall, which is another 2 classes. And then the place command is typically a class in its own. And then the 6th class could be like, a review of everything that we've learned. It can be maybe you want to teach another behavior that's fairly simple. Like I'll let you know how long they take to teach. The 9-week program is kind of, so the way I look at it is the 6-week program is I take my dog to the dog park and I walk my dog. The 9-week program is I walk my dog, take him to the dog park, and we go to restaurants. Like I want my dog to lay down and not move for 2 to 3 hours. And the 12-week program is all 6 obedience commands: sit, stay down, come, place, heel, built to off-leash reliability. So like I walk my dog, hike with my dog, go to the dog park, go to restaurant patios. Like I do a lot with my dog, right? Is that they want total off-leash control. Okay. So from what you're telling me, you're like more so like in the 6 to 9 week range. But if you're wanting full control, off-leash reliability, that's the 12-week program.
Okay. And we can always build on to that, correct?
Yeah, you can always extend, right? So so the way it works is if you do a 6-week program versus a 12-week program, per class, the 12-week program is cheaper. Okay. Because you're already committing up front. If you do 6 classes and then decide to do another 6 classes, you get the 6 class program rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We don't prorate it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, but that's just how we do that.
Yep.
When it comes to in-home, that rate is different because if you want me to work with you, the rate is different. One, because it pulls me away from the facility. But if I'm also going out to the suburb, that's also lost time for me to work with the client here. Okay. So you have 2 options. If you want to work with me, we'd figure out the travel fee. Maria would let you know, but it would definitely be more expensive for me than it would be if I send my other trainer, Enrique. Okay. If I send Enrique, it's a cheaper rate because he's not me, because I'm more expensive. But you're still going to be paying a bit more. Okay. But it's more reasonable than my rate, because my rate, if I'm an hour to you, an hour there, and an hour back, that's 3 hours out my day, and my going rate is $175 an hour. I'm losing that money working with someone here in the city. Does that make sense?
So I think like what makes the most sense is if we can get this started soon. For us, it's more like if we can do this in home at least for until we move, and then it's a lot easier for us to come out to like your facility.
Right. Yeah. If you're back in the city.
Right.
Which actually, you know, if we were training in the city, we do work with clients at Oz Park, which is in Lincoln Park, which is a super busy park. So that's another option too, and it's part of what we do. So we either train at my facility or we train at Oz Park, or I do home to home. It's just more expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think in-home training for us would be better than the board and train option?
I always tell people to doing the training on your own is best because you learn more. Okay. Now your case is easier because it's just obedience. If it was behavior, that's where things get a little tricky, because behavior is a variable, you know, and because we know what we're doing here, like we a lot of times don't see the behaviors that the owner sees because we don't let the dog already do stuff that we don't allow. So it's definitely more beneficial to do it yourself. It takes longer, but you learn more stuff. The other thing is, if we train Bear in a boarding train, the training is tied to us, and then we have to transfer it to you. So you have to do work regardless, right? So that just it saves you that extra step, but also you just learn how everything works. So then it's gonna like he said, like he doesn't listen to you as well as he listens to him. We definitely want to fix that problem. Us training him for you doesn't mean he's gonna just listen to you off the bat.
Right.
Okay. So I definitely recommend in person. And because it's just obedience, Enrique would be more than qualified to like go there and like help you train your dog.
I think that's probably what we want to do moving forward is let's do the 9 week for now.
Okay.
And for the first, however, I just don't know exactly how long we're going to be here yet.
Yeah, we can do it class by class or whatever. You know, we'll figure out the rate. I just have to look at the mileage and stuff because I have to pay for him, pay his time to go out there. I got to pay for his gas and all that stuff. And then Maria would send you all that info. The collar that he would need, and Maria will also send this to you, is the Dogtra 1900 S Black Edition, which is meant for 70-pound dogs and over. Okay, so it's meant for dogs his size. Have you used an e-collar before?
I'm not.
Okay, are you guys?
A long time ago, but yeah.
Okay, are you familiar with what the technology is or no? What is it?
It's like a vibration that gets your dog's attention.
A vibration how? Like a cell phone?
Sure. It like it doesn't like shock your dog, but it diverts their attention.
Okay, so the e-collar does come with a vibration function, which is like a cell phone. We don't use that for training because dogs tend to ignore it. Okay, it's just a vibration. There's nothing bad. Have you ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist? Have you had stim?
Yeah, it's the worst.
Your muscles?
Yeah.
That's an e-collar. Okay, so people usually think of it as electrocution, but it's not. It's electric, but not electrocution.
Yeah, it like stimulates your muscles.
Correct. Okay. And there's varying levels from 0 to 127. The higher you go, the more uncomfortable that muscle contraction is. So it's the same technology they use to recreate labor contraction pains in men. But because labor contractions are painful, they're really up there in the intensity because they're trying to mimic that. Okay. Same thing with e-collar. It's just a muscle contraction. So it's the only tool that guarantees off-leash control because you have a remote. With other tools, like if you try to do food only, if he's chasing something that's more rewarding, food goes out the window, which happens all the time. 2, if you did prong collar, which is the spiky looking collar, he could be great on leash, but as soon as you take the leash off, he's still not going to listen because there's no way to make him return. Or because he's going to be a 110-pound dog, he's very physically tough. That if you try to correct him with the prong collar, you may not have the physical strength to actually match his physical build. Okay. So e-collar helps remove that problem because it's a muscle contraction that's controlled by the dial, and it doesn't, we don't have to worry about physical strength. Okay. So if you go to my YouTube channel, if you want an example, you can look up King He's the other Roddy that I'm training right now. And you'll watch the first class and you'll just see how he just dragged the owner all over the place. Okay. And then once we started the training, then he was walking with her, no problem. Okay. And for her, we used the prong with the e-collar because she needed more leverage to control him. Okay. People typically think when we do the training, like you just punish the dog for not doing stuff. It's not really how it works. We use, we shape all the commands, even if he already knows what the command is, using the e-collar. So he sees it more as a line of communication than he does as a punisher. Okay. So people will say like sit, and then when the dog doesn't sit, then they punish the dog with the e-collar. But what we do is we actually teach the dog how to sit using the e-collar. So if I say sit and he doesn't do it and I remote him, he goes, oh, okay, sorry, I forgot. And then he puts his butt down. Okay. So it's all about how you apply the tool. Everybody's number might be different. Like your brother's number might be different from your number and vice versa. Because if he respects your brother more, his number might be lower because there's less to compensate for. Whereas for you, if he's used to like getting his way with you, your number might be higher because that's what he needs in order to take you more serious.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's perfectly safe to use. I train every dog over 6 months on e-collar because again, it's the only tool that guarantees off-leash control. The most common question that I get is when does the e-collar go away? And in my book, when you need it, it doesn't. Okay. So that means when you're outside with Bear and you're walking them and you're going to the park and stuff, because you can't account for life. If someone sets off a firework and scares him, or if an off-leash dog comes and attacks him or something, you want to be able to have control in that emergency situation. So it's present, it's not, but you're not always having to use it. Okay. People always ask, well, if the training methods are so good, then why would I need to use it even after training? And I tell them because, you know, even as humans, like you guys drive, I assume, you go to on the expressway.
Yep.
You go the speed limit?
Nope.
No.
Why?
Because I'm a lawyer and can get out of it.
I'm a lawyer. I can get out. That's a good answer. Because there's no threat of consequence unless there's a cop. Right? If you see a squad car, I'd assume, unless you're a really good lawyer, you'd slow down to avoid that ticket. Right? So think of the e-collar as a cop on a collar. You know, you're trying to avoid, he goes, oh, that consequence is a potential. I don't want to get consequence, so I'm going to be compliant. Okay. But as soon as you remove that, he's going to press the boundaries a bit. You know, in the home, the e-collar goes away 98% of the time. The dogs that do need the e-collar are the dogs that are aggressive. Okay. And there's like more stuff going on. That's a totally different thing. But the guy like yours shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Any questions or concerns?
No, we're ready to get this going because a for the move, and then also like we're gonna have another newborn pretty soon, so we want to get this done before baby number 2.
Gotcha. What's your availability like?
I'm self-employed, but I'm starting to get busier. I work downtown. Actually, I'm technically a lawyer, but I don't own a clothing business at this point.
Gotcha.
So it just depends on like when I have appointments and things like that. But I'm flexible during the weekday. I can like, if we like set a schedule, I can work around that.
Yeah, because that's how it would work. We pick a time that works for everybody. Because depending on your availability, it just kind of dictates how quick we can get someone to you.
Yeah, I'm working from home, so I'm pretty flexible too.
Fridays are probably best.
Okay.
Fridays, I try to stay home on Fridays.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll talk to Maria, and then she's gonna coordinate because she has to coordinate with Enrique to get him out there. And then we'll get everything else figured out.
Okay.
Okay. If you forget anything or forgot anything to ask anything, feel free to reach out. And then if you want to, again, just learn how e-collar works, feel free to go to my YouTube channel. You can go access it through my website. Just click on a video of ours, and then you can search King, and then you'll see that Roddy as an example to kind of like give you a feel for like how it works.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure talking to everybody. If you need anything, you let us know. Otherwise, I'll talk to Maria and she'll get in contact and try to get this thing rolling.
Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.